Hello and welcome back everybody, I am Fruit Punch TCG and today we're going to be revisiting the blue Purple Reiju. Now I didn't really make a video for the 09 meta just because there were honestly no changes to the list from 08 and honestly 07 as well. Once we got the Foxy support in here, there weren't really too much cards to move around. I suppose you could combat the meta a little bit by maybe adding the Yanji blocker in here, but I did think that the choppers were enough. So I didn't really think there was anything to talk about in 09. Now, there is something to talk about in OP10, however, that is going to be this new Searcher Vinsmoke Sanji and this new Foxy 2K that we have our hands on. So let's go ahead and go through the deck list, guys, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Not much has changed. We are still running the Ichijis, the Nijis, the Reijus, and the Porsches. We do have our stage at 4. We do have our Vinsmoke Soras at 4. We do have Chopper down to 2 now, and the reason I did that is because I wanted to have the 12 2Ks. I think 12 2Ks is very important for this deck, and we do actually have 2 new additions outside of that. But last thing I wanted to talk about, guys, is the Judge. We're actually running this at 1 now. Because stage was basically one of our biggest ways to cycle outside of card draw with the Reiju, I think having the Vinsmoke Sanji Searcher is just more consistent to see the bottom of your deck almost every game. So if you need Judge, you'll basically find him. You know what I mean? I don't think 2 copies of it is going to really help. The 1 copy is going to be more than enough with the amount of searching that we plan on doing and the amount of card draw we have, especially baked in with our leader ability here. So let's go ahead and talk about these 2 new cards, and then we'll go over the last addition I made as well. We do have the Vinsmoke Sanji. This is a 1-cost searcher for the deck, and it lets you grab a Germa type card. So this means you can grab stage, which is phenomenal because most of the time I would play this leader, and my first starting hand I would not find stage. And I would mulligan an otherwise pretty good hand just to find it because you do need this to turn the deck on. And then in that second hand, you just don't have it either. And honestly, it could be worse than your first hand. So high roll is a really big part of this deck. But now there is a little bit more consistency because if you do find the Vinsmoke Sanji, you're able to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Now, top 5 search is very good for this deck because the stage does a top 3 search. So you're able to add some more consistency with this. Because of that, we are running this at 4. I could bring it down to 3, but I just like seeing it. We did get rid of the Queen blocker for the card draw because this is basically doing all our searches for us. So we don't need to establish that 5 cost and basically waste a turn with it. Not to say the Queen was bad, but we just don't need it anymore, you know? We were also getting rid of the Gina because we do have this 2-cost Foxy 2K. Now, the reason we're getting rid of Gina is because she was also a 2K searchable by Porsche, so we don't whiff. But she was useless outside of the 2K ability. She was leader locked to Foxy. This Foxy, however, has an activate main ability where you may trash this character, and then if you have less on your field than your opponent, you can draw 1 card. So sometimes this effect comes into play. Sometimes you're very desperate to find that last Ichiji to go in and do some damage or reduce their board so that your 5K units can actually hit them. But most times, again, it is still just a 2K, but having that extra utility is just something that helps the deck just in case. So you're not just having a 2K for the sake of having a 2K. You actually have an ability to play off with it. So how much we'll use that, I'm not quite sure, but it is nice to have. So finally, I do want to talk about these 2 red rocks. I got rid of Pudding. I love Pudding. If you play blue, you usually run Pudding. I think that the fact that we are a blue-purple leader, people are inherently afraid of Pudding, and when you're at a local and you just ask somebody what their hand size is, that sort of reminds them that you are running the card, and they'll start pitching their hand because of that. So I think the very threat of Pudding is more than enough. Sometimes it would be nice to have it, but I think the fact that you just might have it in your deck and your opponent doesn't know is good enough, honestly, because I wanted to sneak in 2 of these red rocks, which is not an easy card to get off, to be honest with you guys, but I think it is very important. If you're going up against Shanks or you're going up against Blackbeard and they just get super tall, and it is pivotal to get rid of those bodies, because if you do Ichiji the Shanks, that puts him at a 10k. You're still not hitting him, and you still have leader ability from your opponent to worry about. So you just can't really touch top end with this deck, and I think the Red Rock, especially with the trigger, is something that we could use to battle that. Now, the importance of that is not too strong. The goal of this deck is to still overwhelm your opponent with these 5s and 7 swings and keep your hand size relatively healthy to protect your board. But having this insurance policy I find very comforting. Just in case the game gets a little bit away from you, this is a way to get back into it. So we do run Red Rocket too. Now, I do want to mess around with this list. I have played with this deck a lot. I've put a lot of time in with this, and I do like the way that it is put together. But until OP10 really comes out and I have these cards in my hand, it's not easy to say whether or not this is the definitive list. But I'm pretty happy with this. So let's go ahead and move into some gameplay, guys, and we'll see just how the Blue Purple Reiju does. All right, guys, we're going to move into our first game here. That's going to be up against Robert Lucci. He's going to decide whether or not he wants to take first or second. This matchup is actually a little difficult for us just because of how easy it is for him to remove our pieces. So he does decide to go second, giving us first. Now, there are things to consider with this hand. We do have the Reiju available off rip, so maybe we hold on to this so we have something to play. Maybe we actually mulligan this to see if we can find the Sanji or Stage. So I think I might just let this hand go. And we actually do see a much better hand with a couple Porsches here and the Reiju again anyway. But unfortunately, no Sanji or Stage. So things are off to a little bit of a slow start. We do draw into Black Maria, which is going to be pretty great for us because we are going to be down minusing pretty aggressively here. Let's go ahead and start off with a 5-5. And see if he wants to give us a card. He does get the Spandine and Trash, which is pretty great, so that he'll have that available later for a subsequent Gecko Moria turn. We're going to see if we can just put on some aggression here. I am very happy to see that we don't get rid of some important cards because we already do have the Black Maria here. I'm thinking about grabbing this 2K, or I could grab the Porsche because I do know that he's going to start getting rid of them. And we know that we're going to play out the Black Maria anyway to get the Dawn back. So I'm just going to grab the Porsche here, and we'll just let these cards slide. So we'll go ahead and cheat out the the Reiju, which is great because we actually do draw into Stage as well. So we'll get rid of her to draw a couple more cards, finding some more 2Ks, and pass our turn over to the Lucci. Now, next turn, I'm thinking about playing Porsche into Black Maria just to recur our Dawn. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get rid of one of our units here. If we're lucky, he'll probably just play out a Khalifa because he won't have the pieces. But considering the Porsche is just a 3 cost, okay, so he's going to do a 7 at face here. I'm just going to let this one go through, guys. He does minus down our Porsche, and he's going to go ahead and play out the Uta, which is going to give him a rest ability to give one of our characters -2, which will be very useful next turn. I do draw into Red Rock too, which is great because now we can get the Black Maria ability off again later if we do decide to keep it. So now we're just going to go ahead and start with 5s across the board, and then we'll move into our Porsche Black Maria just so we can get our Dawn back to normal. Let's go ahead and do our next 5 here. He does give us a Rebecca for that, putting some important cards into his trash for his later plays. So I do think it is important holding on to the Red Rock so we can get rid of the Gecko Moria if that does become available to us. So now he does take the next 2. I'm going to go ahead and play out Porsche here. We're going to Dawn -1. Unfortunately, we do see some important cards this time. Can't win them all. And we'll go ahead and cheat out the Black Maria, drawing a second Red Rock, which is pretty great. We'll go ahead and gain our 5 Dawn and subtract to match him, so we'll go to 6 next turn. Now, I do think he's going to be able to get rid of some of our units this turn. Not really much I could do about that. But we do have Stage available to us next turn, so we can start cycling out some of these cards and get some better options. I am glad that I decided to grab that other Porsche, so now that we can just cheat her out again if we do find something good to play with the Stage. So he's going to go ahead and start by doing -2 onto our Porsche here. And he is going to be able to play a Suru as well. Looks like we might see a Rob Lucci come out this turn. He's prioritizing our bodies that can attack, which does mean we're able to keep Black Maria on board for another ability later, just to stay at the same level of Dawn as him. And then he's just going to throw 6 probably at our Porsche, and we'll just give him a Sora for this one, guys. All right, now we do draw into the judge. I am deciding what to do here. I could throw this out at the Uta just so we can get this away because I can't attack it with leader, but I think first things first, playing out this stage and doing a little bit of searching is going to be in our favor. We're going to get rid of our second stage here, and we do find the smaller Ichiji, which is great for us. So we're actually going to go ahead and start with that play as well. We'll go ahead and do another Porsche, Dawn -1. We're not really going to find much off of this search here. We can start moving some cards we want to see a little bit more up for us as well. And we'll go ahead and cheat out the smaller Ichiji, grabbing another stage off the card draw. We'll play out the bigger Ichiji to minus down the Uta, so now we can almost guarantee the attack to go through. For this last two Dawn, I'm actually thinking about just keeping Black Maria up so that he can prioritize our other bodies. So we can just do a 5 at Uta to clear it, and then 2 7s at face. So we'll do 7 with Ichiji, and then 7 with our leader here as well. And the great thing about him not getting rid of the Black Maria is that we're able to use her ability again. He's going to go ahead and give us double 2k for that, which is pretty awesome. So good things to see here. We'll go ahead and gain our active Dawn and subtract again. So next turn we'll be at 8. Now, if I do play out Gecko Moria this turn and start clearing off our bodies, I can either play out Judge or play out the Red Rock. So we do have two options next turn, whether it be Board Swarm or just some removal. He is going to go ahead and play Rebecca into Uta off of the Gecko Moria, drawing back a 2k. So I guess him giving us double last turn wasn't too impactful. But he is going to swipe 5 here into our Porsche. I am just going to let that go because I can't save it a second time if he does go at lead with this Lucci here, and that's what he's going to do. So he's going to swipe 6 at face, and we'll give him a 2k for that. Fortunately for us, we didn't lose too much with his removal, guys, so that's pretty great. We're going to go ahead and trash this Reiju here with stage, grab ourselves another Ichiji, and I think we do have a couple options. We could play out Judge, and we could play out Reiju, but I don't think there's enough value in that, so I think I'm just going to Red Rock this Gecko Moria. And then for the rest of my Dawn here, I am just going to go into his board. So we'll do 5 from Porsche into the Uta. If he decides to block here, that's fine. It would actually be pretty beneficial if he does, because then I would actually have to swipe 7 into it. But he does let it go, which is pretty great. So with the remaining Dawn, we could cycle our hand a little bit more with another stage and get rid of the Judge, but I do want to hold on to it and another Red Rock. So I think we're just going to go heavy into face a second time. So we'll go 7 at lead. One of these will be blocked with Rebecca. He's going to block the first one, and then next we'll go ahead and do another 7 at face, and he'll probably just take this. No, he's going to give us Khalifa and a Brook, so looks like we do have to worry about another Gecko, and yep, there it is. He's going to play it, but he doesn't know it. We actually have another Red Rock in hand. Looks like an actual repeat of last turn. He is going to play at Rebecca, probably into Uta again. And we'll see what he decides to do. I don't know if he's going to be able to interact with board again if that is his play. He'll probably do 6, 7 into Porsche, and I am just going to let her go. Now, it would actually be pretty worse for us if he decides to go 8 into Ichiji, but I don't think it's that bad, actually, because I do want to play Judge. Okay, so he is actually going to go into Porsche, so he knows not to put the Ichiji into trash. We're going to have to let that go, and we are going to end up taking this next hit as well. We do have all our stages now, which is pretty crazy, but it is cool that we do draw into a Porsche. Let's see if we can find another Ichiji here. We'll go ahead and trash stage, and we do, which is great. So now we can actually Red Rock Porsche, and that's going to be pretty devastating for him. So next we'll do the second Red Rock on Gecko, and now we'll go ahead and play out the Porsche. We'll go ahead and Dawn -1. We don't really find any targets, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and move these Ichijis back up. But that's fine because we are going to be able to cheat out the Ichiji, who can then cheat out the larger Ichiji -2 onto the Lucci here. So now we are unfortunately faced with a decision. I don't think we need the Black Maria anymore. So let's go ahead and make this a little annoying and swipe 3 into 3. He could give us a counter for that, which would be fine. But instead he does let it go. Next, we're going to go ahead and do 5 into the Lucci. So he'll have to give us a 2k if he wants to save this. And because of that, I'm just going to go ahead and do 7 into face. He'll probably block with Rebecca. And now we're actually just going to clear the Lucci as well. Well, let's actually check his trash before we do that. He does have the Spandine in there, and we did just Red Rock 2 Morias. I think putting this to face is probably a better idea. But I don't think I want to go to 0, actually. I don't have the counter. So I'm just going to throw this at Lucci just to get rid of it. And we'll go ahead and pass. So we've decimated his board twice, and his hand size is getting low. The unfortunate part is, so is mine. It would be pretty sad to see a third Gecko come out this turn. He's finally going to throw 5 into that Black Maria, minusing our Porsche by 1. She did her job. That's fine. And there's the third Gecko. So I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up the tempo this time. We'll see if he's actually able to KO something. I think he is going to be able to do the Spandine Lucci combo this time. So he does play out the Uta to minus out our Porsche again. And here comes the Spandine. And he is going to actually cheat out the Lucci again as well. So the Lucci is just going to go ahead and get rid of our Porsche. Not so bad. We do hold on to both of our Ichijis. He does have a blocker this time, so things to consider. And he does have 2 open Dawn as well. So we'll go ahead and start things off by getting rid of this Niji in hand and see what we can find off our search. We do grab the Sanji. So I think this is the kind of turn we do need to think about here. Getting rid of this Lucci is probably going to be important, but we're not able to play another Ichiji because we don't have one in hand or trash. I could start looking for it. So maybe we can start by playing out the Sanji. And we do find it, which is great. So now the Judge is a little bit better. So next we'll just go ahead and play out Judge. We'll use the card action minus our Dawn, trash both of these to play out the, the Reiju and the Ichiji. And I don't think it really matters about getting out the Niji because we could have sent this back to hand or KO'd this. Actually, I do like the KO. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like the KO. Because of that, I probably should have swung first. This is tricky. No, I think we're okay with that. I think we're okay. We'll go ahead and draw the card. We'll go ahead and do our Dawn minus to draw more with the Reiju. We'll do our Dawn minus here to play out the 7 cost, and we'll minus again the Lucci. This way we have 3 7s and a 6 to get across on this turn. Not enough counter in hand, no blockers, so it is kind of important for us to clear these. So let's go ahead and do 6 into the Lucci. So that way it'll be a 2-1 to save that. I think he'll probably just let this go. Next, we can go 7 into face here, guys. One of these is going to be blocked by Rebecca. It might just be the first one, but no, he does decide to take it, which is pretty great. So we'll throw another 7 at face. And I'm not worried about this Uta anymore because I am just worried about lethal. He's going to counter this one. And finally, we'll throw the last 7 at face as well. And he'll block that with Rebecca. So we'll go ahead and pass here, guys. We are at 2 life. Not the most counter in hand, but our opponent doesn't know that. We do have the 1K. Maybe we'll see some more cards off of life. But if he doesn't finish us this turn, I think the game is over. So he might actually have to place Dawn on the Uta and go into face. He might need to block her up. But no, it looks like he's going to just try to get rid of the board, which I don't think is the correct play just because I have too many bodies for him. He's going to go ahead and play out Ice Age on the Judge here, and he's going to play the Jack and trash it. For 2 Dawn, he's going to probably throw this into face, which I am fine with because the game is basically over next turn. And 9 into face is also okay with me. And now we can just go ahead and wrap things up with the 7 and then the 9. So GG's to our opponent. There was a little bit more thinking in this one just because of the removal. But I think we did get there. So GG's, and we'll go ahead and move into another game, guys. All right, now for game 2, we're actually going to match up into the yellow kid, who I am very excited to have for OP10. But let's go ahead and focus on what we have right now. So what we have right now is not the greatest starting hand. We do have a small piece in everything, but nothing cohesive enough to hold on to. So I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this. We do actually find Sanji on turn 1 and a very similar hand to last turn. So we'll go ahead and play out the Sanji. We are going to grab the Ichiji here just because we do like having this available. This is basically the reason we play this deck. So we are going to bottom deck some not so bad prospects and go ahead and pass to our opponent. For 2 Dawn, they could play out the Shirahoshi or a Searcher of their own in the form of the Monkey D. Luffy. But they do play the Shirahoshi, and they're going to go ahead and pass over to us now. For 3 Dawn, I am going to actually go ahead and play out the Reiju, but let's go ahead and start. Actually, I think I am going to start with the Reiju, but I am worried about triggers here. I think getting the 6 on life or just a 5 just in case we do draw something to play with Reiju is probably a better bet. If we don't, I don't really think it matters too much because I think he actually might take this. But no, he does give us a 2k Beji. We're just playing around triggers right now, guys, so we're going to go ahead and play out the Reiju, trash it for the larger one. And we didn't find anything to play with the 1 Dawn, which is okay though because he did give us a 2k anyway, so things to consider when playing yellow. All right, let's see what he decides to do for his 4 Dawn turn. I think the best play for him would be something like the Basil Hawkins. At that point, I really do wish I had the smaller Ichiji, which I could have grabbed off of the search. I could have sent it back to his hand and maybe made him play it a second time. But we'll see what he does decide to do for 4. He's actually going to swipe 6 at us first. And for that 6, I am just going to give him a Sora. Just kidding, he's going to do 7 or 8. For 8, I think I'll just take the first one, guys. I don't think there's something really too wrong with that. 1 Dawn could be the Luffy search, but he does actually turn the kid face up just to see what he's drawing. I don't hate that play just because sometimes I want to know what I'm going to be moving into when it comes to discarding cards. Speaking of which, I don't really like what I have here. Not really too much to play. We are at equal Dawn, but if I do play out the Reiju, I won't get the card draw. I think I'm just going to do 5, 5, 7 with the Ichiji and then just go from there. So let's see if we can get him to block one of these 5s with the Shirahoshi. That way we can guarantee the 7. So first is going to be a 5. I'm not sure if he has the best counter in hand considering he did just give us a 2k for last turn swing. But he is going to think about this. I know we're going to get that 8 cost kid, which he will have on curve. So a couple turns from now, we need to remember that and not take any more of this life, which should be fine. I think that should be fine. I do have a lot of 2Ks, so should be okay. He's going to give us another Beji, which means he might be bricked up if he's just giving us 2Ks. I'm fine with that. So he is going to take that next life, and now I think he's just going to have to give us the blocker, which is fine because we wanted to get rid of it eventually anyway. We do draw into another Ichiji, which is actually pretty great. We'll swipe 7 into him, and he'll instantly snap lock into the Shirahoshi, so that's pretty good. All right, for 6, he could have played something like the Cavendish, but it actually might be, I don't know, maybe Kadatsu or something. We do have all the 2Ks in the world. Kadatsu really wouldn't even touch anything, so I'm interested to see what comes out here. It is going to just be Nami. He's going to trash an event and KO the Reiju anyway, but we do not really mind that so much. What's actually pretty great is we drew into another Ichiji. Still no stage, but we're somehow making it work with just this massive hand size, so that's pretty great. So we'll go ahead and start off with just a 6. I could have floated another Dawn here and hoped that we drew into stage or a Sanji Searcher or something like that. But I think just going 6 is fine because I don't think he has the counter anymore. And I don't think he actually has the counter for this either because he did get rid of a 0 cost event with the Nami. So he's actually probably going to take this one too. Now at this point in time, he might have the counter for the Ichiji, but I think using Satori ability is not going to have that available to him. So we'll go ahead and trash the Ichiji and play out another one. This is pretty devastating for him because I know that he is probably pretty bricked up right now. So we'll go ahead and swipe 7 into face. He's probably going to have to take this too. Just from the sheer amount of cards he's been getting rid of, right? Like he gave us 2K, 2K. He gave us the 0 cost event with the Nami, and he actually threw out another 2K just to play the Satori. So if he does decide to counter out of this, he's going to go down to 2 cards in hand, and I know that one of them is a kid. So counter is something that this guy is desperately lacking. So he's going to think pretty heavily about this. I think he actually just needs to end up taking this one, which is still not going to be great for him because his best play next turn is going to be the kid to try to see if he can get us down even lower. He might decide to Dawn up and swipe into these Ichijis, which I just have so much counter in hand. I don't think it's really going to be plausible for him to take out these guys in an effective manner. So he's probably going to have to play some more removal if he wants to get rid of them. So he does eventually take the life. It is going to be a Luffy trigger just to KO our Sanji. I don't think that's the right move at all. I think that's something you want to hold on to, if anything, just to 1K, because we know he doesn't have that much counter at this point. He does end up conceding. He was extremely bricked up. He gave us every 2K he had, and I think that's just going to be a good GG to him. All right, guys, now we're actually going to move into the Purple Luffy matchup next. He does decide to go first, and we do actually have a pretty good hand here for going second, so we're going to keep this just so we have some searches to fill things out. And I always do like having a red rock for insurance, so He does decide to mulligan his first hand, so hopefully he didn't draw anything too impactful. I know it does suck not having the Zoro Juro to play and stuff like that. We do bottom deck 2 Porsches, which is kind of cheeks, but we do grab that Niji, which we're gonna need. I know usually you'd want to grab the Ichiji, but we're gonna need that Ichiji. I'm not sorry, not the Ichiji, but the Niji to send a Zoro back to his hand if he decides to play it next turn. So next we'll go ahead and play out stage, and we'll go ahead and trash the larger one, and we'll grab ourselves a Reiju. And we'll go ahead and pass to him. So if he does play out Zoro Juro next turn, I'm just going to actually send it back to his hand just to get rid of his tempo, because he wants that body to swing into us. He's going to go ahead and use leader ability to go up to 4 and actually play out a Bon Clay this time. So next, we're going to see out the Law. I don't think I want to send Bon Clay back to hand just so he's able to replay it. But I think on next turn, he's going to be at 7 anyway, so maybe he won't want to replay that. That Bon Clay actually might be a problem if we do start getting out the Ichiji, so maybe I should send it back to hand. We'll see. We do decide to use stage here again. Actually, I am thinking about this one. Maybe I don't play Red Rock this game. I don't think I'm going to have time for that. So I will just trash the Red Rock and grab ourselves a smaller Ichiji. And next we could play out the Niji here, send the Bon Clay back, swipe 6 at face. That does sound like a good plan. I think that's what I'm going to do, because next turn he'll only be able to throw 5 at us. So we'll just go ahead and play out the Niji. We'll Dawn -1, play out the larger one, send this Bon Clay back to his hand, draw ourselves another Reiju, and now we'll be able to go 6 at face. Which he's going to want to counter, by the way, because he does want to stay at a good life size to take for Dawn manipulation. He's just going to give us a Bon Clay and maybe something else. Yeah, we do see a Kid come out as well. So now we're probably just going to see a Taro turn, which if that's the case, will probably be safe to counter. Just because, yeah, he's just going to throw 5. So we'll give him the Reiju that we drew into. And now we'll probably just see Taro come out and play out something like a Goro or a Zoro Juro. So he does play out the Sangoro. We'll go ahead and use our stage ability here, see what we can find. We'll get rid of another stage. We do grab a larger Ichiji, which is always a pleasure to see. For the next few Dawn, we do want to maybe see what we have planned, but I think playing out the Ichiji first is fine, just so we can get the card draw from our leader. We'll -2 to whatever, it doesn't really matter. We do draw into a Black Maria, which is going to be good for later. And I think with him going down so low in hand size that the 5s are going to be okay. So we'll go ahead and do another search here, and we'll grab ourselves another Ichiji. I think that's pretty great. So if he does decide to swipe into it next turn, we can just replay it the turn after. We'll go 5 into lead here, then we'll do 6 and 7. For the 5, we'll probably get a card. He'll probably take the 2 after. Next, we'll throw out 6. And he does take that. Finally, he'll probably just take the 7 as well. Going down to 2 is fine for him, because he's not going to use his leader ability anymore. He is going to be going to 8. So first things first, he's probably want to just swipe at me with the Sangoro to get the card draw. He's going to throw that into our Ichiji here. I think because of that, I'm just going to give him a Foxy 2K. He does get the card draw going to 7. Next, he's going to throw 8 at it. We'll just let it go. And we can get some more card draw with our Reiju next turn. So we'll just go ahead and take this hit too. We do get another 2K. For 7, we could see a Sanji come out, but it's actually just going to be another Taro into a Juro to draw himself a card. And he's actually able to keep the 1 open for Giant, which is pretty great for him as well, as he does draw into a Frenosuke 2K. So getting rid of his board is going to be a little bit trickier than I first anticipated, but we'll see if we can tackle it. Actually, no, he's going to play out a Law for the 1 Dawn, so he doesn't have access to the Giant, but he did draw 2 2Ks. We do draw into Porsche here, which is pretty good. I think we're actually going to play Porsche. We don't have another Ichiji. That's the problem. I think we'll just play Porsche into Reiju, see if we can find it. We do actually grab a sorry, not a Sanji, a Chopper blocker, guys. We do draw the Niji as well from the leader ability. We'll go ahead and Dawn -1 and play out the Reiju just to buff our hand up again. We do have the Ichiji finally, but no way to play it this turn. We are just going to trash it with leader ability here, and we'll grab a 2K. Would have been nice to have that Porsche again, just so we could play it out twice. Because of that, I think we're just going to play a blocker this turn, and do maybe 8 at the Sangoro. But first, we're just going to go ahead and throw 5 at lead just to get a card away from him. He does give us a 2K, which is a great sign. So because of that, I'm just going to throw 8 at the Sangoro. We do know he has another 2K, maybe double 2K for this. Yeah, it's going to be double 2K, which is fine. We'll go ahead and play out Chopper next over one of our Sanjis, get the Dawn addition, and pass our turn here. So next we'll be able to go out to 7, and we'll just see if we can stave off the aggression this turn. First things first, he's going to throw 6 at us. We are just going to give him a Black Maria for this. He just wanted to get the card draw off. I'm sure he'll start putting his attention toward our Ichiji soon here too. Another 6 is going to get another Black Maria for me. I don't mind getting rid of these cards at this point in the game. If he does throw an 8 at face, I am going to take it, but it looks like it's going to be a 9 here into our Ichiji. We'll just give him the block just to make things a little bit more annoying for him. Because if he does throw 8 at it, I'm able to actually counter out and hope to find another one from life. I don't think I want to give him all these cards in my hand to save this, since we can play it out again anyway, so we'll go ahead and let it go this time. For 7 Dawn, he'll probably play out another Taro, but I think it'd be better to play a Sanji. He is going to have Leader Swing as well. If it is just a 5, we'll just let it go with the Niji. Okay, it's going to be a couple Dawn here, so we'll probably have to go to 2 this turn, but we are able to maybe find some more answers. A Foxy 2K is not one of those answers, but welcome addition nonetheless. He's going to play out another Zorojuro. His board is getting pretty big here. I don't know if we can stave this off for much longer. He is going to draw a Sanji 7 drop, which is something he didn't have prior. And we do draw into the Sanji here ourselves. So let's go ahead and start with stage, see what we can find. We do find the Niji, which is nice. I think card draw would be better for us. So I am going to take the Reiju, and we'll go ahead and start off with that Reiju, so we can get some more cards in our hand. And perfect, we find another Ichiji, so that's pretty great. So that is 3 for Porsche, 2 extra Dawn, guys. We do want to minus out their board first before we start swinging into it. Decisions. Yeah, I think replacing a Reiju here is going to be fine. So we'll just go ahead and do out the Porsche first. Use the ability, -1, grab a second Porsche. And we'll play out the Ichiji over the Sanji. And we'll go ahead and use the Sanji ability. Not the Sanji, the Ichiji ability to -2 to the Sangoro. So that way we can just throw 5 into 4 or 6 into 4, and it should be okay. So we'll do 6 into 4 here. I'll probably just let this go. Now, we do have pretty scary board ourselves. It's not as great as his, but our hand size is pretty awesome, so definitely great. He is going to give us 2K, 1K for that. I'm okay with that, because now we can just do 5 into it. If he gives us another 2K, that's fine. This 5 was going to go there anyway. I probably should have started with that in case he didn't counter out of, but he did, so that's okay. We'll go ahead and put 1 on our Porsche here and swipe 6 into Zorojuro. If he counters out of this, we can just throw 7 at it again and get rid of it. Unless he does give us everything in his hand and tries to go for game next turn. My 2Ks are okay, not the greatest, but it could be a lot worse. Only 2 dead cards in hand is not so bad. He actually giants out of this, which is interesting, because now I do have another target for the Ichiji. So we'll go ahead and just throw 7 at it. And he actually lets it go in the end, which is kind of crazy, which means he doesn't really have too much in the form of counter. And we did see him get rid of that Sanji. So I think it is the 4 swings this turn, unless he do into another one. But I think he'd want to Dawn into his leader or his characters anyway. So he's going to go ahead and start with 7. That means he is going for game this turn. I think because of that, we're just going to go ahead and give him 2K, 1K for that. And we just need to stop 1 more of these, which I think is doable. He's going to put 2 on leader, guys, and he's probably just going to go into face again. And because of that, I think he's just going to get another 2K, 1K. At that point in time, he'll probably just start focusing on board with these Taros. Because if we don't counter out of this now, we are going to have to see an 11-11. And I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe I do let this go through. So that way we can save our board and go for game next turn. He is going to think about it. He does have the 2 attached to Luffy already. Okay, so he's actually going to put 4 on him, which is going to be a 9. So we do have a 10-10 after this, so we'll take that. Trick him into thinking we don't have the counter. He is going to put 1 here on Luffy Taro, and then we'll probably just see 11 probably come out from the other one. So 9, if he does do 11, I have the counter for that. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, I don't have the counter for that. I don't want to gamble that this last card is counter, because if I do, I lose the game. So we're going to just counter out of the 9. So we'll give him 2k, 2k, 1k. And now he can just throw the Luffy Taro at our Ichiji, but we'll just play him out next turn with Porsche. So he's going to throw 10. It looks like he should probably put it into Ichiji, keep a Dawn open for Giant. We're going to let that go because we don't really have much of a choice. And now it's game or nothing. So we'll go ahead and start by getting rid of that Ichiji here. Grab ourselves a Sora. Doesn't really matter too much. I think 5s might be a lot for him here. We do want to save 3 for Porsche into Ichiji. The reason we're doing that is because we're actually able to save an extra Dawn from not playing him out for 4. So we do have 3 Dawn to play with here. So we can do 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7. I think that might be the best way to do things. So we'll start with a 5. I don't think his hand has the most counter, considering he did give us a Giant for the Juro. So we'll do another 5 here, guys. See if we can get another card from hand. We do get a 2k for that one. So these 6s might start to matter. And because of the 2k, I think we'll just throw a 5 again. He does take that, guys. We do have 3 more Dawn to play with, so we can do 6, 7, 7. Let's do that. Let's go 6 and see if we can get that last card out of hand. We do get a 2k for that, which means we do have 7 online. And we just need this last 7 to connect, so we need to hope he doesn't have a Giant here. He might have just been bluffing it. Doesn't really matter what we draw. We'll return those to the bottom. We'll play out the Ichiji. We'll use the Ichiji to play out the Ichiji. Dawn, it doesn't really matter. If he has 7, he has this one. And he does not. So he feigned the Giant. Really good on his part. Made me a little nervous. But seeing those 2Ks come out for the 5K swings were pretty telling of what his hand looked like. So pretty close game. We were able to squeak away with that. And GG's to our opponent, guys. All right, now we are going to go ahead and match into the Teach, guys. I am going to take second here just so he can't play the 10 drop on curve. I think this first hand is very important because this is probably the only time we're going to get our on plays off. I think just establishing Chopper is fine. Or honestly, let's just do a search instead. We're going to go ahead and play out the Sanji. We'll grab a second Sanji, play that out as well. And let's go ahead and grab out the Reiju. And we can go ahead and pass. So putting these 1 cost 2k attackers on board is fine because we can swipe into Lafitte's, and later it actually might become important enough to attack with them. I'm glad I played 2 because he does play the Dock Q as well. Maybe he gets rid of on plays here. If he does, that'd be pretty good for him because I would have been able to do our Reiju or the Ichiji. He does get rid of the on play. Because of that, I'm not going to swipe into face. Let's just go ahead and do 2 into Dock Q. He'll get the card draw. And then we'll go 5 into Lafitte just to get that out of the way. And I think just playing out... I think just playing out the Ichiji here, doing the Dawn minus to play the larger one, draw the card and pass is okay. Because he can't... he probably wants to do Black Hole for the rest of the game, to be honest with you. Because of that, we're not really going to get too much crazy card draw off the Reiju. He's going to swipe 5 into our Sanji. We do let it go. Having that Dock Q turn 1 was pretty great for him as well. He is going to trash this Shiryu for leader ability. We can do Chopper and Niji this turn. I think that's actually pretty great. Or we could do Chopper Reiju this turn, which I think is also pretty great. So let's just go ahead and do 5 in the lead. And then we'll go ahead and do 7 to lead. I know we're giving him a pretty good hand size here, but we are going to establish 2 more bodies, so that's pretty great. Let's go ahead and do out the Reiju Chopper. I think that's, I mean, the Reiju Niji. I think that's the way to go. We do draw, and we'll go ahead and play out the Niji next, and we'll go ahead and put out the larger one from hand and pass. So we're establishing a pretty good board size. We are going down on Dawn pretty aggressively, but he is just going to go ahead and start off with a finger pistol, and then he'll probably go 9 into our Ichiji here. No, it's going to be 7-7. That's okay. I'll go ahead and let it go, and we'll just take the life hit just to get our hand size back up. Nobody's going to go ahead and play out stronger and pass, so we're not really going to have anything to swipe into. That's actually pretty great for him, but we are still able to go pretty aggressive into face. So let's just go ahead and do 5-6. See if we can get him down. Yeah, he's already at 2 life, which is pretty cool. We'll go ahead and play out the Ichiji again from hand just to play the larger one to get the card draw and pass. And then we'll move into our 6th Dawn turn. Hopefully we can find a red rock eventually. That'd be nice. He does have the ability to do -2 for the Ichiji here, put him at 5. He does need a -2 again. I think he might have a card for that. So because of that, I think I'm just going to go ahead and counter out of this hit. But what to give him is the question. I think we'll just give him the Niji here. That way he can't really attack into it. He has to use Van Arger to attack into it. But no, he's going to be going for our Ichiji here. Then he could play out Jack and KO it. Pretty great. Not going to lie. Let's get the card draw for Jack too. He trashes Hachinosu to open. And he does black a hole us with the Hachinosu. We're not looking too great as far as bodies to play. Maybe I should have held on to the Niji. We can do double blocker here. But we do have less Dawn than him, so let's actually just play out this Foxy, trash itself, draw. We get a red rock. That's awesome. And we can go double blocker here, guys. So we'll just do 5-5 and then blocker, blocker. All right, so he is at 0, which is pretty great. So we'll play out 2 of our choppers and pass. So that way, if he does play out the Teach next turn, we could just red rocket. And then maybe 7 will be enough. We don't save this, guys, because honestly, he's just going to have 2 more swings to do it. He can rest Jack to get rid of a chopper. He'll go 6 into face here. I think we'll just take that. I think he is thinking about it. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and rest Jack to KO a chopper. And then now he's going to play Teach. Now, if he does leader ability, he might not have enough for this. So we could just go red rock and then 7 into face. I don't know if he has the counter for that. He does not. Wow. Incredible. Yeah, so that's just another reason we run red rock, guys. You can just get rid of those teaches that they're very eager to hide behind. And yeah, he basically had 0 counter in hand because he was able to use black hole on us every single turn. It also didn't help the cards he was drawing with Jack were not counter either. But he did get pretty bricked up there. But even then, if he did counter out of the 7, he would have only gone to 3 cards next turn, which would have basically been 2 cards next turn because he would have had to use the leader ability again, and then he would have teached. And I mean, things could have gotten away from us, but I do love the red rock in this deck for matchups like this. So GG's, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up there. That is going to do it for our video here today, guys. Very happy to have these new additions to the deck. It's been very nice seeing the Sanji out just for some consistency, and also he's really great for the Blackbeard matchup because establishing a 1 cost character with 2k is actually pretty great, just so you can dawn up on him later. You can see Blackbeard sort of gets afraid of those kind of bodies just because at 10 they become a swing. With just 5 dawn they could become 7, so if you have 2 on the board you can go 5-7-7. I know that's not great dawn math, but every hit counts. So really happy to see these new additions. We did actually play out the Foxy, which is pretty good to draw into that red rock. Not that we wouldn't have last turn anyway, but it is nice to see that we do have it available in case we need it. I think Blackbeard's kind of the only matchup where I actually ever do play this because I would rather prioritize the 2k in hand. Red Rock, great card, guys. Really happy that I was able to put that in here. We do have Judge in here too. It's super situational, both of these cards, but I think that they really round things out in this meta. But I'm really happy with this deck list. The results have been pretty good. It's not perfect. This is definitely a list that would catch your opponent off surprise. There is a lot of luck into what you're able to grab off these cards, but what is not as it was before is the inconsistency of searching. Now we do have a pretty heavy search engine, so it is a lot better in that regard. So, hey guys, thank you so much for coming in and doing another video with me. It was so great to get back up and running, and I'm really looking forward to our next ones. If you'd like to see more One Piece Sim, go ahead and drop me a like and follow. If you'd like to leave any feedback on the videos, that would also be great. If you're looking forward to seeing a certain deck list be played and we're interested in some certain matchups, just go ahead and drop a comment, guys. I would love to put out some content that you find a little bit more educational. But once again, Fruit Punch TCG, guys, thank you for coming in, and we'll see you in the next one.